All right. We have got another heavy hitter in the house. Father Andy just came in. He's ready to swing that bat like nothing else, man. So, Father, thanks for being here.
Good
so great to have
Good to see
you. Man. This is absolutely wonderful. I've had like priest. So this has been a blessing, man. I love having conversations with our priests. It is absolutely wonderful. And thank you for the donation. Father donated $100 toward our radio station. That becomes a $200 donation. And so that gets us rolling for this hour, helps us to start chipping away more at that total, that $125,000, so that we can pay Michael and Nathan for what they do. And more importantly, we get to keep proclaiming the gospel. People driving down I-70 accidentally flick on this station. They're like, oh, wow. So that's actually what the church teaches. I had no idea. Year later, they're Catholic. Happens all the time, folks. 785-621-4110 if you'd like to partner with us. Also want to congratulate Jackie Brown. Jackie is a friend of mine. She's the DRE over at IHM. Great lady, works hard, does amazing things. Correct answer to where did Jesus flee to as a baby is Egypt. God bless you, Jackie. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being a supporter. All right. Enough of me. I know you guys want to listen to Father Andy. Let's get to his introduction. Father Andy Hammeke was ordained a priest in 2018. He has served in Salina and Gypsum. Currently, Father Andy is the chaplain of the Como Catholic Campus Center on the campus of Fort Hays State University and vocations director for the Diocese of Salina. Once again, welcome in.
Thanks, Coach.
Got to have Lucas in here yesterday, talking with him, so had a couple young ladies in this morning. One just joined the church, and her sponsor, they're both heavily involved with Catholic Tigers. And so you guys are doing good things. Holy Spirit's working well down there.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks. Glad it's been a good day. Yeah, that was Maddie this morning. That was in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to listen to that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, cool story.
So, thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for listening to the Holy Spirit. But I think you've got a great talk here, too. It's called Under Our Lady's Mantle, a Pilgrimage of Faith and Formation. So kind of get us started on what are we looking at here?
Okay, cool. So this summer, it kind of catches us off guard. We don't know how often it's going to happen, but Bishop Vinke every so often invites our seminarians and myself just to go on pilgrimage. Thus far, it's been about every 3 or 4 years. In the summer, he'll take us somewhere. A number of years ago, he took us to Ars, France, to go see the city where Saint John Vianney ministered, patron saint of priests, and that was really powerful. Anyway, this last year, he was kind of talking about where do we want to go on pilgrimage, and had a couple different ideas. We landed on Mexico City to go see Our Lady Guadalupe. And so we did that this summer. We went down at the very end of June into July and went and got to see the site where all that took place, where she appeared to Juan Diego and the Tilma itself. And it was phenomenal.
Maybe we'll get into it here in a little bit. You can let me know if I'm jumping the gun.
Go for it.
But when you saw the Tilma, what was that like?
Man. Yeah. So, we got there. We had a weird deal. We flew out of Salina, I think, to Houston. No, something like that. Yeah. Salina to Denver, probably to Houston.
Dude, you're a typical guy.
I have no idea.
That's me too. I don't know. We went somewhere.
We ended up in Mexico City somehow. All I remember is we were flying out of Salina, and we'd been in the air for like an hour, and the plane had to turn back around.
Oh, no way.
Go land back in Salina to fix something, and they did, and it worked out. But we got to Mexico City later than we expected to. So that night we couldn't go see her like we were hoping to. I was hoping that we could get there and go see her right away, because we were staying with these nuns that were only 5 blocks away.
Oh wow!
And so that night it was kind of tough. Didn't see her. The next morning we were gonna have, I think, breakfast at 7 or something like that. And I got up early that morning. I just had to go see her, and so walked down there by myself. Might have been foolish in Mexico City. At this point, I had no idea what we were dealing with, security wise and stuff. But I had the instinct that morning when I woke up, like I'm going to see my mom, like for the first time, and I got the best mom in the world, my earthly mother here, but just that idea of getting to go actually look at Mary, and then this apparition that we still have. So I was just so excited walking down there. And honestly, seeing her for the first time, it was emotional, it was powerful, it was beautiful and all that. Honestly, what I thought about the most, as I was looking at her was that very first time is just how honest, like how much my dad would love to see her too.
Wow.
I saw her, had a moment with her, and I was like, I know all these people that would love to see you, and my dad's got a strong devotion to her.
Wow.
And so those are some of the things going through my mind, but it was
that is really awesome.
Pretty moving.
Yeah. Wow. All right. You are listening to Father Andy. We're starting to talk about the pilgrimage that he took with some seminarians, you said?
Yeah.
And did Bishop go also?
Bishop went. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's good to have him with us. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. So what inspired this? I mean, you said that Bishop kind of tells you, whenever you're going, but what did help you land on this is where we're going?
It seemed like a lot of our conversation was about this particular time not going overseas, at least from some of the options he was throwing out there. And so we were looking at the North American martyrs potentially, and kicking around a couple different things within the United States. And I just remember it was at dinner one evening in Salina, me and Father Brian McCaffrey and Bishop, and we threw out Guadalupe. And Bishop had actually never been there before either. And all three of us right away got excited about it. Like, let's do it. And so it was not a ton of more thought than that went into it outside of we knew we wanted to go somewhere on pilgrimage. And as soon as that got mentioned, we all agreed that's the place.
That's fantastic.
And seminarians were, as soon as we told them that's where we're going, of course, they were pretty excited too.
Oh, I bet so.
Yeah.
So I've never been on a pilgrimage. I hope to go someday. But what are some of the, whether they turn out or not, what are some of your expectations? What are some things going through your mind, as we get ready to go? What's it going to be like, and in regards to your expectations, do they turn out? Do they fall flat? Are they good? But, there's so much that you can give us insight into what this looked like.
Yeah, it's great. Like a pilgrimage, just in general, it's obviously different than a vacation. Where a vacation, you're kind of in some ways in it for yourself and those you're with, but to relax or do something fun or cool. And whereas a pilgrimage is obviously a much more spiritual experience and totally surrendering everything to the Lord and what's He have in store. And we'd say, like even our life on earth is a pilgrimage where this is only a short stay. It's a journey towards God, and so this is not our eternal home. And so when you make a trip that's a pilgrimage, it's kind of a microcosm of your life in some ways. It's like this journey towards what God has in store for you. And so you just totally surrender that. And I think we all went down there with a complete unknown. Like, we've seen the image of Our Lady everywhere for our entire lives as Catholics. Our Lady Guadalupe is everywhere. And so that was, I think, the real question we all had on this pilgrimage is like, what's it going to be like since we've seen this image everywhere and life-size replicas when you see the real deal?
Okay.
What's God got in store when you actually see that Tilma and be at the actual place where Mary appeared, and for all of us, it was some guys, it was incredibly moving. Some guys, it was like less overwhelming than I thought it was going to be. It's funny what God has in store for each guy. But yeah, bottom line was you go into it like, what do you have in store, Lord, and try to take whatever He wants to give you.
Okay. Real quick break in the action here. I've got a few updates. So right now, in case you haven't gone to our website, and I'm not sure, I haven't been on the website either because I'm behind the speaker here, the microphone. But if you go to our website, we do have that thermometer, and I know that they update that whenever they can. But as for currently, right now, we are at $44,655 for our funds this week so far raised. We have $22,698 left in matching funds, but because we have such amazing donors, we also have a donor that called in and wanted to give us another $10,000 in matching funds. So we want to thank that donor so very much. We really appreciate that. So if I'm reading all this right, we're back up to over $32,000 in matching funds. We also had an anonymous donor from St. Nick's who has given $1,000. So thank you to my parish family, whoever that is out there. God bless you. Thank you for putting up with me. I really appreciate that. But also that donation with all of those matching funds, that becomes a $2,000 donation. And so thank you so much. And I also want to thank Larry Reichert because he is the one who gave us the $10,000 in matching funds. Larry is such a great supporter, as many of you are. And so we thank you, everybody who helps us out with the matching funds, with the donations. We cannot literally cannot do this without you. We're completely listener funded. We don't take government money because we don't want them telling us what to do. We simply want to put the Catholic truth out there, and that's what we do best. Call 785-621-4110 and join with Larry, join with our anonymous donor from St. Nick's, join with myself, with Father Andy, and help us to continue this mission. 785-621-4110 or donate at dvmercy.com. All right, let's get back with Father Andy. We're talking about this pilgrimage that he took with the seminarians and with the bishop to go see Our Lady of Guadalupe. And another kind of side note here then is, I love our bishop. He's a great shepherd. He really is that father figure that everybody needs because he knows how to joke with you. Especially myself. He likes to mess with me, which is great. I like it when people mess with me a little bit. What's it like traveling with the bishop, though, and taking a trip, down to Mexico? And I almost said overseas. That's not overseas. But taking a trip at least out of our country, somewhere else with him.
It's fun for the reasons you said. Like he'll joke with you the whole time. He'll give you heck if you do. And he's like an older brother in that sense. He's your bishop, so there's an incredible respect always there at all times.
Yeah.
But there's in a sense he's like the older brother. That's like if you do anything, he's gonna kind of push you around and be like, "What was that?"
Want to thump you on the head or make fun of you,
which you love. We all love that so much, and you just got to be like, we can't do it back to him. So we just got to wear it. But no, it's so you get to see a fun side of him, and also though when you travel with him for that long, and are with him for multiple days in a row, you get to see what his prayer is like a little bit, and just how seriously he takes that, and which we all know about him. He's one of the most prayerful men I think most of us have ever met. Being with him that many days in a row, you get a window into that, which is really cool to see. I remember that when we went to France with him as well. Just how one quick story in France. I remember we're about ready to go see the first day we're down at the church where St. John Vianney actually ministered. He's incorrupt. We know he's in there waiting for us, and we have not been inside it yet. And on our way to go see that, I cannot wait to just go be in that church. On our way there's this other smaller little chapel just across the street from it that had adoration going on. And we opened that door just to check it out and saw that there's adoration happening. And when Bishop saw that, it's like everything else can wait. Whoa.
That's so funny because that's like a story of you ever heard that story of St. John Paul II?
Yes.
Yeah, where they had to, so his secretaries, they had to actually, when they took him on trips, they had to be careful for that because they tried to keep him on schedule, but he could sense the presence of Christ. And I think one time they actually like moved this plant in front of the chapel door, and he walks by and then stops and turns. And I think he like turned back to them and shook his finger at them, moved the plant out of the way and walked in.
Amazing. Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
like Bishop Binky.
Binky's got some of that. Bishop Binky. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So I mean, that part of it's awesome, obviously. And I always think too, by the way, that the poor guy, whoever the guy was in charge of JP2's schedule, it's the worst job of all time. He's never on time for anything, and everybody's mad at that guy at all times. Like he was on God's time for sure.
Yeah.
Traveling with him is amazing. I'll tell you this too, Coach. Like maybe the greatest thing about having Bishop with us is when you travel with a bishop to Catholic places, doors open that wouldn't normally open if he wasn't with you. So our best Spanish speaker in our crew of seminarians and myself and Father Brian was Luke Fries, Deacon Luke Fries. And so we were trying to get a mass, and I can share more about this later, but in this whole facility, this whole site where the tilma is, the actual hill where Mary appeared is Tepeyac Hill. There's a chapel built up there where Juan Diego went to go pick the flowers. And we were wanting to say mass up there. And I tried to go down one day and ask with Luke Fries, and he was using his best Spanish, and they're like, you needed to have reserved this basically like 2 months ago. Like, what are you doing? And so we got the hint pretty quick, like we messed up on that. The next morning, I tried to go one more time by myself and ask, and I found a little bit more friendly person who actually spoke English. And so I was doing my best to ask, and she was kind of being nice, but not listening much. And I said, we do have a bishop with us. She said, what? She said, he's here? I said, yeah. She said, 1 second. Made a phone call. Pretty soon some dude steps out, and we got a mass scheduled like 2 minutes later.
No way.
It just changes everything, man.
That is
It was
awesome.
awesome.
Bishop, if you're listening, I need to go on a pilgrimage with you,
Yeah,
please,
yeah.
someday. Wow. So you're getting down there. You guys, you got to say a mass in the chapel at Tepeyac.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome in and of itself.
Amazing. Yeah.
But also the basilica that you went to, that it's the basilica that houses the actual tilma now.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's, she appears, it's 1531, December 12th, 1531, she appears. And I think most people maybe know the story, but the image of Mary is imprinted on this tilma of the Indian Catholic Juan Diego. That's the final sign. He needed to go show the bishop that Mary had been appearing to him. And when the bishop sees that, he's convinced. And so he takes that tilma as soon as he can, I think puts it in his private chapel there for a little while. And pretty soon they build the original church there on that site somewhere. And people come and see it for many years. Within 9 years, I'm trying to remember the stat. It's like within 10 years, I think 9 million people are baptized, and so
yeah,
there's that whole part of the story. Then eventually, I think it's in the 1700s, they built a really Baroque, beautiful basilica for it. And that was there until like 1976 or something like that. So from the 1700s to 1976, this old church that's still there. You can still go inside it. They had adoration there when we were there. That's what housed it for a long time. That building is now kind of like leaning, and multiple different reasons that it was no longer a proper place to keep the tilma.
Okay.
So now it's in this massive basilica that was built in 1976, I think.
How close could you get to the tilma?
It's really interesting, the whole setup. I would say, so you're looking up at it from, it's probably 25 feet above you, something like that. Okay. 20 feet above you. Close to where you can really, you can see every detail of the tilma. It's not that big. Juan Diego wasn't a big guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's interesting, you might have heard before, is because so many people want to go see here at all hours of the day, there's like a little conveyor belt thing like you see in those airports that just, like an escalator, flat escalator, just like moves you. There's one of those rolling at all times in front of her. So you can step on that, and that takes you right by her. And you got approximately maybe 15 seconds or something on that as you just slowly go by. And you can walk right back around and do it as many times as you want. But you don't get to just stand there and look at her perpetually.
No, what did I thought I heard a story about this. Yeah. Was it Deacon Luke?
No, this was so Gus Hansen.
Okay.
I think we told the story at some of the seminarian dinners this
summer. Maybe so.
Gus Hansen, one of our youngest seminarians, from Atwood, pretty, he's farm smart, he knows if something needs fixed, you need to solve a problem, he's got you covered. That morning I went down there by myself. I had learned, like, when there's not a lot of activity down there, that little conveyor belt thing, it stops on its own. Like, so that when there's a lot of activity, there's a sensor that keeps it rolling. Gus figured out where that sensor was, because I went that one morning and realized nobody's here from like 6 a.m. to 7:30. It's a way smaller crowd. Then for the rest of the day, it's just jam packed there at all times. So there's a crew of us every morning that would get up early and go down there, and so we can spend some real time with her, because Gus found out if you step over this little sensor, you can walk right in the middle of that conveyor belt and just look right at her. And for multiple mornings, we went and did that for like 30 minutes before somebody noticed. And then I think this security guard kept seeing it, like on the footage or whatever. And he would never say anything to us, but multiple mornings in a row, he'd come down and just like look at us weird, and then put his foot in front of the sensor, and we'd just start rolling. We go around and do it again. But it was Gus. I figured that out. Yeah.
That's awesome. So were you able to, and I don't know if you know things about the tilma, anything that you want to share? I mean, I've read a lot of the miraculous things that are involved with it. If you're not, that's okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Yeah, no. But also just being able to see it in person. Are you able to share any of the stories of how it did affect you, the seminarians, or anything like that?
Yeah. I would say for sure, for me personally, I would say I've almost noticed even more since being there. It's like a slow developing, intensifying devotion to her. Like now her image anywhere I am, I just saw you guys have a huge one back here. And if I see her image anywhere, it just really jumps out. Like, so that in particular, I know one of our guys basically multiple times just couldn't stop crying. Basically, every time he was around her, he kept going to a different chapel and just really deep in prayer. I think for most of our guys, just general statement, their devotion to Mary in general, like increased from this trip. And that makes the trip worthwhile in and of itself, so our seminarians, our future priests now have a deeper devotion to Our Lady. One interesting thing I took away, I learned on this trip is there is, as you know, like there's so many miracles with the image and even the different symbols and things that are on the tilma that spoke to the Aztec people. A lot of those weren't totally understood until a lot of years later. And so a lot of the early artwork that was done as replicas of that image were not like exact copies of it. They weren't very good copies. And so now, way more than before, I notice all the time, like half the ones you see aren't even exactly like she is. And it's kind of sad because every little piece of that tilma is saying something, and so that's been one interesting thing is that and I'll tell you the one thing that you can tell if it's a good replica or not is right on her womb. There's this little flower called I think they called it like the jasper flower, which for the Aztecs was a symbol of their highest god, and it's directly on the womb of Mary who's pregnant in the image. If you don't see that little 4-petal flower on the image that you have, it's probably not an exact replica.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's really some cool insight about that. Very quickly, we're going to take a real quick break just to remind everybody that you're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. We do have that carathon goal of $125,000, and this goal is going to help us make sure that we keep our physical lights on, that we're not in the darkness here in the studio, that we are able to keep our radio stations running, get all the equipment we need to have, and make sure that we're continuing this mission. And we want to thank, our foundress, Danetta Robin. We want to thank the good Lord, what he did to get these radio stations started and going. And we don't know where it may go in the future, but we know it only makes it there with your help. So please call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110 if you would like to donate and help us in this cause of evangelization. All right, Father, let's get right back into talking about your pilgrimage. So we kind of left off then with, is there anything that you can share? Maybe you can't share real personal stuff, but how has this changed some of the seminarians that went with you?
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be fun to follow up with them more, but I think for the most part, like I said, their devotion to her, not just Our Lady Guadalupe, just Mary has certainly increased since then, and Mary's entire role is to lead us to her son. And so I think all of their faith lives, their prayer lives have significantly grown since then. And like myself, like at St. John Vianney, for example, in their chapel there at the seminary, as you look towards the altar on the left side, they've got a beautiful rendition of Our Lady Guadalupe. And so for our guys that are there, I know that really is different than it was last year when they hadn't met her before down in Mexico. So I think it's increased their devotion to Our Lady.
Okay, fantastic. Now, are there any of the miracles or miraculous things that you know about that you want to talk about with the tilma?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to.
That would be awesome.
One that some of the guys were claiming, I can't say I noticed this when we were there, but one of the miracles we'd heard of before we even went down there was that sometimes in this church that she's in, she can appear bigger than she actually is, depending where you're at in the church, different sizes, different colors. And so, you go right by her on that conveyor belt. Well, that area is behind the main altar of the Basilica Church, and it's out of sight of the people who are at Mass. There's Mass there every hour. So you can see her also from the main pews of the church. It's like kind of like a fan-shaped church, kind of like IHM here in town, but massive. And so from the church, you can see her up above the altar as well. And some of our guys thought no matter where they were in a church, she seemed the same size at all times. That was something they noticed. The one miracle for sure that nobody can deny is like it's the tilma itself. This basically this coat that Juan Diego is wearing. It's made out of like cactus fiber.
Yeah,
those are supposed to only last 50 to 60 years or something. This was 500 years ago, and it's still there, and people have no idea what to do with that. It's like there's no way it should still be there. Another one is as they've studied the image in and out. All kinds of scientists and different folks have studied this thing at a deep level. The image itself is not woven into the image. It's not painted onto it. It's just there. Yeah. It's just there. And they don't know what to make with that.
Yeah, I've heard that they say that it's like, I don't know, a hair's breadth off of the tilma or something like. Yeah,
Yep.
it's totally unexplainable. They have no idea how it is present there, but it's not actually even technically, like you said, it's not within the fibers, but actually like barely raised above the fibers, and they're just like, oh,
exactly. There's a lot of just hands in the air with those who've studied this thing, and along with that, it's one of those things. It's like you would figure if something was made by man or a pretend, something. As time went on, you'd figure like as technology increased and we were able to study it more, you'd see more holes in that original, that fake item. With this, it's like the more technology advances, the more we realize how miraculous this thing is. So like as they started to take lenses that could look into our eyes, you've probably heard of how like they discovered not that long ago that like as you zoom in on our eyes, there's like actually the outline of people that were in a room when she appeared in both of her eyes in a way that like an artist couldn't replicate. It's like accurate to how human eyes, it would be reflected in human eyes, and it's like stuff like that. Again, hands raised, like, okay, we don't know what to do with this. It's just a complete mystery miracle. So, and then along with that, it's a true miracle how the symbolism, every aspect, like that jasper flower I was talking about, every aspect, her standing on the sun, standing on the moon, standing in front of the sun, she's dancing, she's pregnant, all these different things spoke so much to the Aztec people who were struggling to convert to Christianity that this is the one true God. And that's why within 10 years, like 9 million people are baptized. Like that one apparition of Mary changed everything for Latin America,
Yeah, something that the Spaniards couldn't do in however long, and
for sure.
Mary shows up in her peacefulness and everybody's like, oh, got it.
Exactly. She's like, I got it from here. Yeah.
That's awesome. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, and we've got that Carathon goal of $125,000. Our Carathon theme is Light in the Darkness. We thank you all who donate for being that light in the darkness, for helping us out and helping us to continue on this mission. We appreciate everything that you do for us. Please continue to hold us up in your prayers, and please continue to consider donating at 785-621-4110. Let's see if we can get a few donors in here of different increments, maybe a 500, a 100, a 50, and a 20. Let's see if we can get all of those this hour and use up some of those matching funds. That's why we have those matching funds, because of those wonderful donors who say, hey, let's help other people's money work twice as hard. We will go ahead and double whatever they donate. So if you donate right now, your donation becomes doubled immediately. 785-621-4110. Also, we're going to get to our second trivia question. I think I'll let Father read this one if he will. So he's going to read the trivia question and the selections to you twice, and then you get to pick whichever one you think works. And if you get it right, we will put you into a drawing for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. So don't delay. Be the first one to call in and get it right. You get put in that drawing. 785-621-4110. Here is your question.
What is Jesus held in during Eucharistic adoration? A monstrance. B, a reliquary. C, a tremblance. D, a showpiece. What is Jesus held in during Eucharistic adoration? A, monstrance. B, reliquary. C, tremblance. D, showpiece.
785-621-4110. If you think you know that, like I said, if you get it right, we'll put you in that drawing at 6:00 for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. And as I've mentioned before, in case you don't know, in case you've never been in there, Jerome and Angela Schmeidler, they are wonderful people, have a wonderful young family here in Hayes. They own that store. It's so wonderful to walk in. There's such an inviting atmosphere. They're great people. Go and check them out before you check any online bookstores, before you check Amazon or anything else. Support our local people, support our local Catholic people. Go support the Messenger. They support us. So make sure that you are thanking them also when you go in there. Tell them that you heard this on Catholic radio. All right, we are back with Father Andy Hammeke talking about a pilgrimage of faith and formation. Did we miss anything about talking about seeing Our Lady, seeing the tilma, and anything that you guys experienced?
That covers most of the highlights, I think. The cool thing about, you talked about how do we, when you go on a trip with Bishop Vinky,
Yeah.
he's just been around and done these things before. And so he's got a wisdom about him where your tourist bug can kind of like start mine, at least. Like when we're in France, I want to go see all these different things in France. When we're in Mexico City, hey, he's good about like, we're gonna just be in a certain place and walk into that place and just pray and take your time. And so the cool thing about this trip is we had the freedom to, in this whole complex, or the place where the basilica is, you have the current basilica, you have the old basilica, you have the actual hill where Juan Diego and Mary had their interaction. You've got all those other just holy things in the area. And so there's a lot to walk around and see and pray with. So we had the freedom for 3.5 full days to spend as much time as we wanted to with Our Lady, or walk around the site, which is really beautiful.
Well, that is awesome. Really quickly want to congratulate Rhonda Ward. So Rhonda Ward is our trivia winner. What is Jesus held in during Eucharistic adoration? That would be a monstrance. We're going to get you entered into that drawing at the 6 o'clock hour. Congratulations, Rhonda. All right, Father, obviously we've talked a little bit about what has this done for the seminarians, how has it helped them, but also Our Lady of Guadalupe, she does have this special role within the seminarians, within discerning priesthood. What is it about her and her role that really kind of helps to boost discerning? Is God calling me to this?
Sure. Number one, again, like Mary's entire role is to lead us to her son. And so all of it, there's nothing more important in seminary. There's nothing more important for discernment than falling more in love with Christ. And just briefly, if I could make a vocations pitch, like
absolutely
for men and women, men discerning priesthood, women discerning religious life. There's a lot you could say about, how to discern, do this thing, do that thing, and those are very important. I'm finding as time goes on, there's no more important discernment than the most basic, and that's falling in love with Christ. The more you fall in love with him, the more you trust him with your entire life, the more you get to know his voice better because you spend time with him. And when he says, go this way, you go that way. And he says, this way, you go that way. So all the other stuff you hear about discernment, certainly, man, look it up, study it. All it's important. I love talking about it. Nothing more important than falling in love with Christ. And Mary's role is helping us to do that. She just wants to lead us to deeper love and knowledge of her son. And so that's one of the main reasons I think we went down there. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. Actually, as you're mentioning that, I kind of thinking that Joseph and Mary, through their marriage and through their lives, they're amazing examples for the religious life and the married life. It's pretty crazy how God orchestrates that. Pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. But that's what he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, whether you're married or whether you're discerning the religious life, you can look to them as examples of, like, how did you answer this call? Because they had a very unique experience
for sure,
compared to any of the rest of us.
For sure.
And so to ask that question either way, I think, go look toward the Holy Family and ask them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. They're a perfect model. Mary and Joseph both. Mary, totally not understanding what Gabriel's talking about. Like, how can this be? But fiat,
but do it.
Be it done. I'll do it. So for us, you might go to mass one day and all of a sudden, for the first time in your life, what was that I just, why did I all of a sudden just have, why was I looking at the priest as he consecrated the Eucharist like that? Like, why am I actually attracted to the priest? What was that about? And there might be some fear, like, how could this possibly be? And the only response is Mary's response, like, be it done to me according to your word, Lord. Like, I will do whatever you want me to do.
Yeah. That is awesome. Want to quickly thank a couple of people. I know that I saw Dustin Roths up here, and so his little brother, who was in here yesterday, works under Father Andy Lucas. But Dustin was in here just a little bit ago visiting with us, and he made a $1,000 donation from the Dustin Roths family and Diamond R Jewelry. So thank you so very much, Dustin, your family, and your business. We appreciate that. That becomes a $2,000 donation with those matching funds. I also want to thank Grace Mary Melvin. So another wonderful person in our community. She pledged $250. That becomes a $500 donation. That means between those two donations, that all becomes a 3,000 total donation with all those matching funds. So thank you so very much. Thank you to the donors with the matching funds. Thank you, Dustin Rotes and family. And we thank you, Grace Mary Melvin, for your participation in this evangelization effort. If you would like to join with them, please call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. And let's keep taking shovelfuls, not just chipping away. Let's do shovelfuls and get toward that $125,000 by the end of the week. Let's see if we can use up these matching funds by the end of the day. You know, we bring in these heavy hitters like Father Andy Hammeke because we know you guys like to hear them. So you want to keep hearing good stuff. 785-621-4110. All right, let's get back to Father Hammeke talking about this pilgrimage. All right, Father, we've got a question here that says, did the group participate in any service or pastoral experiences during your pilgrimage?
That's a good question. Not really. This was outside of some of the people you'd interact with, I guess, on the hill there, you know, like all of us had different people coming. We're wearing our clerics as you're walking around. And so people want you to bless item. Bishop, for sure, everywhere he went. He always had a crowd around him. So I guess not like an intentional way where we sought out like this afternoon, we're going to do this service. But as we were just walking around the place, a lot of people came up for blessings and just different things like that. And then the sisters that we were staying with, in some ways, they ministered to us and we ministered to them, I would say, in some ways too, just by trying to love them and care for them and take an interest in them. And they were really, really, really good to us.
Okay.
You know what they did that saved us is they cooked for us every morning and evening. Uh-huh. And that saved us because we had, I think, just 2 meals away from the little convent. The one of those 2 meals got like 4 of our guys super sick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's so the sisters even told us, like, yeah, American stomachs just can't handle, I think it's the water or down there, but
yep.
So they kept us from getting even more. There's a great picture I'll have to show you sometime. Maybe we can post it or something, I don't know, but like of when we said that mass up on Tepeyac Hill with Bishop Gus Hansen, Ethan Weiner, Marshall Fike. One other guy was really, really dang sick, and you can see in that picture, in particular, Gus and Ethan both just look miserable. No. 1 or 2 really hard days after. So those sisters saved us by cooking for us each time.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what else was your interaction with them like while you were there? What did they do for you? Are they naturally English speaking?
No.
Or okay.
Yeah, totally solely Spanish. And so,
oh wow.
One kind of miracle of the whole trip, like I said, Luke Fries is by far our best Spanish speaker on that trip. And the rest of us were trying here and there, but for the most part, to no avail.
El baño.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even Bishop was trying. Like we were all trying. Luke's pretty decent, but there was another guy named Alex. He's a seminarian for the Kansas City diocese that was there, and he was staying there for a mission program that he had for the summer. And he was super civil and helpful for us, is like as far as like a translator with the sisters, telling us where to go, what to do in the city, what to avoid food wise, all those different things. So he was kind of a blessing to have with us. But sisters were very humble, kind of somewhat behind the scenes, cooked for us, got our rooms ready, just like we're there to serve us. And the only real communication was through this seminarian Alex or Luke Fries.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. So what was your favorite moment or your most memorable moment while you were there?
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, there's a lot. I would say that very first moment, just the first morning, the excitement of just going to see her and then having that moment with her. And that conveyor belt was stopped that morning because nobody else was there. So I stood there with her by myself for probably 30 minutes. And that first encounter with her I'll never forget that. I could share a lot about just different, it's always fun when you're going there with your guys that you're our seminarians we pray for and you're walking with and you're encouraging. It's just cool to watch them have this kind of experience too and encounter Our Lady and grow together with each other and laugh at each other and pray. And so just caring a lot about these men that are going to be our future priests, brother priests with me. Watching them have an amazing experience was awesome. In particular, I remember like walking around with Gus Hansen. I think Gus right now is 19, maybe 20. I think he's 19. farm guy, awesome. First time out of the country, first time flying, if I remember. So just like watching him take all these things in was really cool. Walking around explaining things to him. At one point, he made a cool comment, though. I think he said, we're looking at these beautiful churches that are down there, and he said, "This is all great. I think I prefer St. John's back home." He said something like, "I can pray better back home. That's where I belong." So
wow,
it's cool.
Well, that is really cool. So, is there anything else about your trip that we've left out that you want to tell us about?
I could tell one funny story if you.
Oh, absolutely. No, we've got 15 minutes.
All right, cool. So we are that mass at Tepeyac. It sounds romantic and beautiful and all this. Well, it was moving, but from the get go, first of all, it was awesome that the doors opened up because of Bishop, but they told us make sure you're there early to make sure this all happens and everything. So we get there 30 minutes early. Door to the sacristy is locked. And it gets right up to 11 o'clock when we're gonna have mass, and it's still locked. And or at least I thought it was. I'm pulling on it, it's not opening. There's people in there praying, and finally Bishop walks over and yanks on the door a little bit harder, and it's been open the whole time. So okay, now we get in kind of late, and there's nobody there to help us, so we're just scrambling, getting everything set up the best we can. And we decided at the last second, all these other people are up there on the hill, like making the pilgrimage, and for some of them, this is their first time ever being at this site, and they're in the church, and all of them only speak Spanish. And so we're like, we better do a dual language thing. And so we decided to do that. And anyway, the door it gets shut while we're in there. The sacristan shows up like 5 minutes late. And so we've started mass, and Kyle Pfeiffer was going to be our reader. But to get up into the sanctuary where you're going to read, you got to walk through that same door that was locked. When the sacristan showed up, that door got shut. And so Kyle's trying to get to that door, and it's locked. And that took like 2 minutes. Kyle finally gets up to the ambo to do the first reading. And we were going to have him do that in English. And so but we didn't have an English lectionary up there. So I walked over to Bishop to get his English missalette, the Magnificat that he had. Bishop's like deep in prayer. And so I like walk over to him and have to tap him on the shoulder. And he looks at me, he's like, "What do you want?"
Why are you messing with me?
What are you done praying? And so at that moment, it'd taken long enough where Kyle just kind of panicked and started reading it in Spanish, and he has worked. His Spanish is actually decent,
okay,
but not perfect. That's for sure. Yeah. And so here's this like subpar Spanish reading and everything. We're holding two different missals during the mass for English and Spanish. And the whole thing is at the very end of it, we figured this is the very site where Mary appeared. Let's sing the Salve, the Hail Holy Queen in Latin at the very end. But it was a last second decision. So right as we're about to process out, I said, "Bishop, let's do the Salve." And he couldn't hear me. I was like, "Salve." He's like, "What?" I was like, "Let's do the Salve real quick." And our sacristan just burst out singing the Salve. And so we all joined him. And that was like a really powerful moment, was standing on that spot after celebrating mass on Tepeyac Hill, singing a song of praise to our mother. It was really cool. But
wow.
It was a chaotic mass. It was we had a good laugh walking down.
I bet so. Now, as you're coming back, it's got to be a little bit bittersweet to come back. I mean, obviously, you get homesick after a while. You're like, I just need to be back on my own soil. But also, all the amazing things that you've seen. What is it like to come back, decompress, take it in, and be like, what did I just experience?
Yeah. I think number one is just like you realize in some ways when you go to a place like Mexico City that, there is a lot of just in your face poverty down there. So you get back here and you recognize pretty quick just how lucky we are, and take a lot for granted. And so not everybody has kind of the material privileges we have. So that hits you right away. And I think on pilgrimage, when you have these graces and these encounters with the Lord, like we're able to have down there, the key to having those continue on and continue to grow is just your daily prayer, to continue to stay close to the Lord. The whole point of these pilgrimages is not to stay with those moments that you experience there, but to allow them to keep you to growing closer and closer to the Lord. And that just comes from your daily prayer as you return home. So he doesn't want you to stay in that moment that you experience, as great as they were when you do that. He wants to keep drawing you deeper and deeper.
Yeah, fantastic. So now on the next one that you'll go to, which you just went to this one last summer.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So few years or something like that. You said that you just get together kind of with the bishop, throw some things out. Do you have any thoughts in your head of like, what, maybe this one?
I do, and the seminarians do.
Okay.
The bishop's usually the one that initiates it. And so, but I think Rome would be really fun to do with Bishop in particular, because he was there, I think, 5 years as spiritual director at the North American College. And plus we have two guys studying there right now, Max and Colin.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to just go see them and be in Rome with a bishop, talk about doors opening. Like
Yeah.
so that'd be great. We've got these 4 guys from Vietnam right now that are studying for us. I think it'd be cool to go to Vietnam maybe. And
Yeah.
and I know there's some holy sites there. There's a Marian apparition, I believe, in Vietnam. Holy Land, of course, if that ever gets safe to go back to. And so those would be. We also talked about maybe as a group someday doing the Camino together.
Oh, wow.
I think it'd be really powerful just for our men to walk together for multiple days and go visit the site of an apostle in Spain. So
yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
Those are some of the top.
Yeah. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. We have that goal of $125,000. You guys have been doing a wonderful job in donating and helping us to make it there. I know that we probably still have, around $30,000 in matching funds somewhere, something like that. So I'll try to get an update on that maybe after we come back from the break this afternoon. But I just want to remind everybody that this is only done because of you. So first and foremost, thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. All 5 stations that we have, we do everything we can to make sure that your money is doing everything it can to help proclaim the gospel. It's a blessing to be here behind the mic and be able to sit here this week and interview all these wonderful people, have these great stories, get all this spiritual insight. But then also let's make sure that we carry it forth. One of the ways that we can do that is make sure that this programming continues to be out there. We're on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube. You can catch us there. If you're watching this right now, thank you very much for those who are out there. If you want to see it later, go back to YouTube, see when it's posted. But that's also part of what your funds go to, is making sure that we can keep being able to put all this out there on as many platforms as possible. Call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110, or go to dvmercy.com. Let's get back to Father Hammeke. Man, I missed the H there. Wow. Right. I probably need some more water. So let's get back to Father Hammeke, and we will discuss just a little bit more before he has to go today. So, Father, let's maybe finish up our time today talking with about your role as vocations director, what it looks like there, and maybe put a plug out there for anybody who is discerning.
Great. Yeah, I'm really grateful for this role. Get to not only walk with our guys that are in seminary right now. We have 16 men studying to be priests for our diocese right now. So I get to walk with them and be on that journey with them on our way to priesthood, but also to meet the young men that are out there that are thinking about it and try to encourage them to be open to it. And if they do get to the point where they're applying, get to walk with them on that journey too. So I guess biggest plug would simply be this: like the goal as vocation director is not to talk anybody into becoming a priest, nothing like that. All I want, all our faithful in the diocese want for our future priests is for every man in the diocese who's eligible for priesthood to simply be open to it and to draw close enough to the Lord where they can get to know his voice and trust him, to where if God were to call them to that, they could faithfully say yes, like Mary, fiat, yes. And so to do that, I guess I would just simply recommend certainly daily prayer and staying close to your own pastor wherever you're at. And one thing I would say for sure that can really help is going and visiting a seminary. I love taking men with me to our various different seminaries. And so stay tuned for opportunities for that. One event I would plug here real quick would be December 26th, 27th, and 28th. There's a retreat called the Quo Vadis Retreat in Wichita, Kansas at the Spiritual Life Center. And this is for juniors and seniors up to, I think, 30, age 30. So juniors and seniors in high school up to age 30. It's an opportunity. We'll travel to bring a whole group down together. Opportunity to there'll be a priest there giving conferences on what priesthood is like, how to discern if you're called to be a priest. There'll be seminarians there from the Wichita Diocese that are do a Q&A panel and are just around for the whole time. There'll be a bunch of other young men from our diocese and Wichita Diocese who are thinking about it. On Sunday morning, you'll have a priest assigned to you to walk with for about 30 minutes and just talk about your own journey, your own prayer life, your own discernment. So just an opportunity. If anybody out there, any young men who are just like at all open to it, want to learn more about it, you can reach me at my email, andy.hammeke@salinodiocese.org. And we'd be happy to have you on that journey. It's covered by the diocese, and it's a good opportunity to see if you're called to it or not.
Fantastic. I know you've got, we've got other opportunities coming up too, both on the men's side and the women's side.
Yes.
I think here in December. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Fiat retreat. Darn it, I don't have that on the top of my head right now, but the Fiat retreat for women is also at the same place, the Spiritual Life Center in Wichita. Late December, early January, I believe, is when that takes place. That is pretty cool because a number of different religious orders from around the country come into that, and so the young women are exposed to, in one place, they're exposed to a bunch of different religious orders that are out there. So
okay,
also a good opportunity.
Now I know it's not going to be the same for every person, but what is something you've noticed in seminarians who find that God is calling them to the priesthood, that you've noticed, you know what, I don't want to say look for this, because it's not, like I said, everybody's different. And it's not like God's going to be in every person. Oh, if you just go to adoration, I'm going to give you a tingle in your left finger,
Right.
But is there something that you're like, you know what, pay attention to? Because I have had conversations with young men and they're like, I really just don't know.
Right.
And we do always tell them, go to adoration. For me, I've noticed in my life, if I've got a sense kind of in the middle of my chest, an uneasiness, I know that God's asking me to go somewhere, do something new. But is there something also that you would point to that you could say, you know what, this is one of the first steps of understanding, where do I think maybe God is calling me, nudging me toward?
Yeah. Good. I think one thing that's safe is to pay attention to, again, like say you have an attraction to the priesthood in some kind of a way. Is that taking place in prayer? Is that taking place at Mass? Those are pretty safe places to recognize it. And then God tends to be pretty consistent. Oftentimes the devil can be really like flighty and this thought, that thought. He's just like all over the place. God tends to be pretty consistent with the way he speaks to us. And so, if he's put it on your heart once and then twice, now you're at Mass again, there it is again, now you're praying again, there it is again, it's worth looking seriously at, and what that feels like for each guy. Generally, it's accompanied by a peace or warmth or something like that. But those terms are kind of hard sometimes to put out there. But in general, it's on your heart in some kind of way, and it's consistent. It's time to start looking into it a little bit, and just go check out a seminary, go to a Quo Vadis retreat, something like that. Just to start the conversation, looking more into it. It doesn't mean you 100% have to say, okay, I'm going to seminary. Just go check it out, and we know a lot about, for the most part. We grow up in families. We know what marriage looks like to some degree.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't know exactly what priesthood looks like. And so to go check it out. Final thing on that I would say is this: if that remains consistent and just there's an attraction there consistently over time, over and over and over again, like the next step in discernment is to go to seminary. At some point, like you don't have to know prior to entering seminary 100% if you're called to be a priest. You just know you're called to take that next step. Yeah. And while you're there, God can work with you little by little. And so great men have gone and left, and they're better husbands and fathers for it. Yeah. Right. But you don't have to have absolute 100% knock you over the head clarity. If it's been on your heart for a long time, start seriously considering going and letting God take it from there.
Yeah, I've got some friends that went to the seminary for a year, discerned that they were called to marriage, and now are great husbands. For sure. So I would absolutely say yes. You're exactly right. There's nothing to lose out of.
You can't lose.
Yeah. So also then, really quickly, what does it look like? You've got different ages of people. We had Father Gale on earlier. He went through part of life and then was like, I think I'm called to this. Yeah. What if you got young people who in high school, do you advise that, right out of high school, where is it? Is it Wichita?
Yeah.
That we send them to? Yep. Do you advise, hey, yeah, absolutely go do that? Do you think it's better for them to go get a college degree and maybe, I know it's not necessarily Father Andy, what does Father Andy think? Sure. But what advice would you give to people in high school? Like, what should they be looking at?
Yeah, that's great. Short answer would be, when God says go, you go. Yeah. Like he's the one in charge, and he knows you. He knows what state of life you're in. For one guy, college might be better. For another guy, seminary might be better. And you could certainly say, let's go try out college for a second. And then we all know the temptations of college. You could lose that, man, but you can get lost in it and years later regret it, And so I guess the simplest way to put it is like, you continue to stay close to the Lord in prayer. Keep bringing it before him. Imagine yourself married. Imagine yourself as a priest. And if consistently he keeps kind of like nudging you towards priesthood, just go and check it out. No matter what age you are.
Yeah. What does that look like if somebody was to go to, and we got about 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
Somebody was to go straight out of high school to Wichita. What's it look like?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So okay, here you got a call. It's clear. I'm calling vocation director, and you have a meeting. You do an application. We can talk more about that another time. But there's an application you go through, and then you're accepted by the diocese. You're accepted by the seminary. The process then looks like if you go right out of high school, you have a propedeutic year, which is a year to work on yourself in your prayer, and any kind of, like, we all have human flaws, just to work on anything about yourself that could use some focus, so you can be a bridge to Christ. So 1 year to just like kind of work on yourself spiritually and at a human level. Then you have 4 years of philosophy, and then 4 years of theology. So for a guy right out of high school, in general, it's going to be 9 years to priesthood. For guys who graduates college, it's going to be 7 years to priesthood. For the guy out of college, you cut out those gen eds. You do 2 years. You do propedeutic, 2 years of philosophy, 4 years of theology.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. That is fantastic. Also a win.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Father, would you please leave us with your blessing
of course,
as we go today?
Yeah. In the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, thank you so much for this radio station, for the incredible work they do, like Our Lady of Guadalupe, who came to lead people to Christ. The station also, through their airways, have led so many souls to our Lord, and we ask you to continue to bless them and help them to do that with their ministry. And we ask you also just to move the hearts of those who are listening today, to be generous to them, so they can continue to lead people to Christ. We ask you to bless Cody, bless our listeners, bless all those at the station, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Father, thank you so much. Blessing to have you.
Thanks,
have
Coach.
A wonderful day.
Yeah, you too.
All right. We had a wonderful talk with Father Andy Hammeke here on our Fall Carathon Light in the Darkness. Once again, you can go check that out on YouTube when it gets posted.